Okefenokee, at the heart of it is, it's the Okefenokee Swamp. You know, it's mysterious, it is large, it is wild. It's this large wilderness area. It's the headwaters of two large rivers, and it has alligators and wild things. It's just a really unique refuge to be at. My name is George Constantino, and I'm the refuge manager of the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge. We were at one of the most severe and long-term drought periods that we had seen in decades. This spring we started having little small fires that might be started by accident or a little lightning strike, and we had to chase them down to ground. And we kept saying, this is unbelievable. We still couldn't envision the magnitude and the ferocity of the fire that came on to us on April 16th. The fire actually got started way before our typical fire season. I mean, we're ready, we're getting ready, and we're thinking we have a month or two ahead of time before the lightning season starts. When it was very cold, it was very dry, very high winds, and it caused some electrical lines just north and west of Waycross to spark, and that just started racing down towards the refuge.
It threatened Okefenokee Swamp Park on the north end. Obviously, we had to evacuate that area, and we had to, folks had to set up and protect structures and boardwalks and so on and so forth. It was some incredible fire footage, you know, for the southeast. I mean, you may be talking about flame lengths of, you know, upwards of 150 feet.
You know, the world was on fire out there. Ash raining down. You'd wake up in the morning, it was just caked in your nostrils, and, you know, I mean, even in your house with your climate control system, it just never stopped.
What we did well was we tried to stay ahead of it in terms of the forecast and tried to predict where it was going to move so that we could plan these burnouts. And a burnout is where we actually set a fire ahead of the main fire to take the fuels out in front of it and control it on our terms instead of just letting it run where it wants to or where the wind drives it. They had enough lead time. They could see forecasted winds and the direction spread of the fire, and they would actually move people out.
They basically ran beside the fire and just tried to keep it from getting wider, and they did that for about 18 hours until the wind died down. And then they thought maybe they could start creeping around and cutting off the head, but it just kept racing. At that point we said, we need to call up what's called a Type 2 team. Okay, and that's Type 1s are the top of the line teams with the most experienced firefighters and the most experience in firefighting. We didn't have a fatality. We had only 2 semi-serious injuries. We had a couple accidents. And think about that. That's with thousands of people, hundreds of pieces of heavy equipment and aircraft in play. And that goes back to the training and the discipline and the safety culture that these fire teams have grown up over the decades.
In order for the swamp ecosystem to maintain itself as a swamp ecosystem, it has to have fire. So fire is good for the swamp. What concerns us is when fire leaves the swamp, how it's going to affect private properties.
If it wasn't for droughts and fires and floods, the Okefenokee would just evolve into basically a forested bog. It's integral to the health and the long-term viability of the Okefenokee Swamp in the wilderness area to have fire and droughts and floods. It's what makes it, you know, so unique and beautiful.
All in all, I think one of the good things that came out was that the communities came together, and there was a lot of sincerity when, I mean, right down to just the average local Joe. I mean, people were making sandwiches for firefighters. They were providing drinks, refreshments, anything they could do to help.
You know, it really strengthened the community's ability to deal with natural events. I mean, we are in a hurricane track. You know, we do have fires. And so in effect, all our local communities are much better able and staged to deal with the next whatever natural event's going to happen to us.